Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto, Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. And of course, good morning to the great country, the United States of America. Good morning to every corner that gets the signals from our 100,000 watt transmitter, be it Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, Northwest Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana. Welcome the rest of the world. We are actually listened to all over the world actively. Barcelona, Spain, welcome. We also get from Lisbon, Portugal. We also get from all kinds of places. We sit down and say, wow, you're interested in American stuff? I guess everybody is. But before we get started, let's get to the geniuses in our studio who makes this thing happen. Buenos días, hermanos. ¿Cómo están?
Hey, geniuses, get in here. Oh, wait. There we go. Good morning, Egberto.
Good morning, sir.
I have a rant today.
Let's hear it.
Okay. Now, this is purely my thought.
Yeah.
I'm going to claim this.
Okay.
But there's this big movement to get rid of TikTok, sell it off to American interests and such over security. Well, that has nothing to do with what's going on. What's going on is the TikTokers are bringing in reports from Palestinians that you don't get anywhere else. And see, they're showing all this stuff and they don't want you to see that. Secondarily, a lot of the TikTokers are making these videos calling out BlackRock and Vanguard for being so giant and owning everything and pulling the strings on the politicians. Because let's look at it this way. They don't like that. BlackRock doesn't even want you to know they exist, or Vanguard either. Because, we're just a humble little company, but they own everything. They own Goldman Sachs. They own all the investment companies, everything. And they don't want you to know that they're pulling the strings on the politicians. So they say, well, it has to do with security. They don't care about your security. All they care about is their money and being exposed for the crooks that they are. Well, I'm probably going to get in trouble for that one. But being exposed for who they are and how they're pulling the strings on the politicians. So take a look at it that way and see if that makes more sense to you than just the security thing. And everybody's got all this security on their phone and it could fall into the Chinese hands. China doesn't care about us. All they care about is their money too. So nobody's going to steal your information. What are they going to do with it? Okay, so you went to the grocery store and you bought some ketchup. All right. How is that interesting to the Chinese? They don't care. So take a look at it that way. And that is my rant for the day.
What a rant. Let me before we go to Brother Jack here, it's funny that is how you started your rant, because I just edited, Jack by now probably got the newsletter, but I just edited the newsletter about half an hour ago online itself. And I had two topics for today. And on top of that, I add, let's demystify TikTok. Ignorance can cause bad decisions, especially when pushed by people with ulterior motives. Oh my God. We are so in sync. Sometimes it's scary, but that's where we're going to start. But let's get to Brother Jack. But hey, let me tell you, there's nothing to get in trouble when you're telling the truth. And that is exactly what you did. Exactly what you did, sir.
Thank you, sir. Now, Jack, what do you got for us, man? It's got to be better than what my rant.
No, I was just thinking about while you were talking about that, about Edward Snowden and Julian Assange, sitting it out different places just to be tortured is all it is. They just want to torture them. So, those are my Christ-like beings, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, I wrote a little thing on Social Security. I draw Social Security, and I darn sure don't want anybody cutting my benefits or taking it away. And I'm sure I speak for a lot of seniors that maybe didn't retire well And this is something that, keeps them alive. And we have ex-presidents, threatening to cut Social Security. Maybe they should just keep on threatening Social Security. There's a whole lot of seniors that's going to really piss off. Ask yourself, why does Trump threaten the social safety net? He's kissing up to his corporate buddies to help their bottom line, not yours.
Well,
see, they don't care about us.
Like I said, again, you don't cut Social Security because, well, you and I and Egberto and everybody else paid into Social Security. They call it, oh, well, it's an entitlement. Well, you darn right it is. It's a refund. So there you go. And what they want to do is privatize it and give it all to the bank so they can make all the interest on the money, and you don't get anything.
Seniors vote.
Oh, you're darn right I'm going to vote. I'm a senior too.
It is funny because, well, you sure don't look like one. But anyway.
Well, most days I do.
All right. Well, I don't see you every day, but I know you look damn good. But let's get busy, my brothers and sisters. Look, I'm going to start with TikTok, but here's the title of the show. The title of the show is Trump Stumbles into Truth That He'll Cut Social Security and Farmers and Ranchers Health Care. Trump, as usual, always slips and tells the truth out loud. He intends to cut Social Security. Farmers and ranchers need democratic health care politics. Those were the two topics that went out on the newsletter that you all got at 5. For those of you who subscribed, got at 5 this morning. And, I've been hearing people talk about TikTok. I was just listening to MSNBC and they were talking about TikTok and Morning Joe and all these guys and the general Vervidis. He's out there telling the American citizenry how bad TikTok is and how it will affect our national security, etc. If you want to know what really affects our national security is having people in dire straits, having people having to fight for health care, having people have to do all those things is a larger damage to our national security than anything else. Because if you have a sick parent, a sick wife, a sick daughter, or whatever, and they need care immediately, and they're not going to get the care in the United States right now because we are the way we deal with it. We have to beg for health care if there's no insurance. And even if you have insurance, you sign a piece of paper. I digress a bit about this because this is really on my mind. I'm back up. Bear with me, folks, for a second, because this is personal. When I took my wife into the emergency room right after the show on Friday, we went in there because we go through the emergency room. They do quick tests and vital. As soon as they could get her to talk, here comes a businesswoman from the business office. And by the way, I want to make sure that nobody thinks I'm going after the hospital staff. I'm going after the doctors or nurses or anything. This is a systemic issue. This is a system that is corrupt, fraudulent, evil, and causes death and destroys people. They come into there and they start asking all the questions about money. Well, she has good insurance. She works for the school district, very good insurance. But then comes all the signatures that you give. And there's one particular sheet that is very important. You are promising that anything the insurance company doesn't pay, you are responsible for. This is a private hospital. You are responsible to pay us whatever we charge you if your insurance says no. And you all have to sign it before you continue to get service. You want a national security issue? If for some reason they couldn't serve her and some guy says, hey, if you walk into this place and get this information for me, I'll give you $50,000. There are millions of Americans right now that are in such dire straits that they wouldn't be thinking that they are a traitor first. They would be thinking survival first. Wrong to say, wrong to do. But if you want to know what can create a national security issue, that is what can do it. But let's get back to TikTok. There are two parts to TikTok. First of all, I hope all of you heard the rant from our most esteemed Senor Howard, because Howard nailed it. The bottom line is the reason why they're going after TikTok is that TikTok is an open platform, a truth teller or a lie teller or a misinformer. It's all of those things in one. But if you are a discerning citizen, if you are a person who are willing to do a little bit of thinking, you know what is crap, you know what is truth, and what you don't really know, you have the ability to look it up. Hey, TikTok can be that trigger. TikTok can be that catalyst that gets you to get yourself more informed. And that's what it has done many times to me. Many stories that you hear here originated in TikTok that, wow, I didn't know that. And after I didn't know something, I picked it up on TikTok. I researched for its validity, and then I presented it here on the program, and it made us all smarter. It made us all better. From me to you to everybody else, we became smarter because there was a platform where millions of people are on. And in those, look, crowdsourcing mean acquiring the knowledge not from the one, but from the many. And when you have an application like TikTok or even Instagram or any one of these social programs, you can crowdsource for good, you can crowdsource for bad. But if you are a good person, you're going to try to stick with the good things. And the way algorithms work, they give you more of what you like. So if you look for a lot of historical stuff, you'll have a lot more history being pumped to you. If you look at a lot of political stuff, you'll have a lot of political being pumped to you. If you look at a lot of conspiracy stuff, a lot of conspiracy stuff will come to you, etc. And that's how they all work. Now, I told you that TikTok really has two parts, right? One part of it is the part where you get, everybody posts and other people see their posts and there's nothing to it. The other part of TikTok is the algorithm. The algorithm is what the engineers who designed the TikTok allows you to see or write down as far as your interaction. What do they, when they have your phone, your cell phone, and you're scrolling through, or your website or your desktop, and you're scrolling through, there are things that the engineers at TikTok within the TikTok application can actually do. What can they do? They can see how fast you scroll. They can see what applications, what stories you like. They can see all these things, and they database that stuff. They keep knowledge about you, and every step that you make on that application, they know it. But is that a bad thing? Well, guess who does that? Everybody does that. TikTok does that. Instagram does that. Facebook Short does that. All these people do it. Your telephone company does it more than anybody else. The person who has, when you have that phone in your hands, Google knows absolutely everything about you. And let me tell you what else they know about you that you don't know. You have that voice activation often that say, hey, Google, tell me about this stuff. And Google just responded to me on my phone. When you ask, when you're listening, what does that tell you? That right this minute, Google, that application that I don't see the government trying to censor, knows everything that you're saying. So by the way, if you're doing some bad stuff and you have your phone in your pocket thinking that you have privacy, remember that there's somebody who has the capability to listen to you. I mean, Google claimed that it's local, meaning all the interaction is local, but they have access to the software that can pick up all that information that you're doing. So I want you to be cognizant, smart enough to understand that you cannot, that TikTok is no less a danger or a national security issue than anything else that we are surrounded by. The next thing that the government wants to do, not the government, but these oligarchs are forcing the government to do, is to shut it down again, exactly for the reasons that Howard was making for before. It's making people too damn smart. You didn't. Many of you never heard of BlackRock till you looked at TikTok. Many of you haven't a clue. Have you seen any of the pictures recently? I'm watching as we do this program. I have MSNBC, purportedly the most progressive station on right now. You know how much blood and guts I've seen about Palestine recently? And even as Palestinians are dying and starving and in bad shape, they like to show people in Africa starving and then saying we are going to help them. But because it's Palestine and because there's some political action associated with it, we don't see that. TikTok has been presenting stories from all folks out there, real-time stories. They don't want that. So that is the reason why it is so important now for them to attempt to shut it down. It has nothing to do with national security. We go even further. If they were serious about this, they would say, you know what? The real platform that gives the information that we are asking about here is not TikTok. TikTok has the ability to collect that data for one reason only. You have a cell phone and you have a router that allows them to get that information. Remember that. TikTok is just a piece of software that goes onto your phone. I'm a software engineer, so I can tell you this with certainty. TikTok is nothing more than ones and zeros on your phone. Now, the hardware, your phone itself, designed by Google, whose software that TikTok uses for all its services, designed by Google, is what allows TikTok to send all those bits and pieces of information into their own computer servers. Again, I repeat, Google is the one allowing the collection of all that information that then is transmitted over the internet to these different companies. The question one should ask is, how comes Google allow folks to do all these things? Well, it's not Google that allows that. We allow it. We say, by using Google software you signed when you signed up to use the Google operating system, right? Android, or when you signed up to use the Apple operating system with your Apple phone, you gave them that right to say you can collect this information that my scroll in and all that kind of stuff. You gave them that ability to do so. Now, the oligarchs have told the government to take away your right to say, in order to have this sort of social media experience, we want you to take that right away from us. And all who support that are complicit in silencing you. TikTok, one of the other things that they would be happy for is if TikTok changes hands or shuts down, Instagram gains more traction and all these others gain more traction. I tell you something, TikTok simply developed an algorithm that turned out to be better than them all. And we used to think competition was a good thing. But no, for these folks, that's not what it's all about. For these folks, it's always about, as Jack and Howard will talk about, the mighty dollar. So we're gonna keep this spiel up all the time, keeping people informed, not lying to you, letting you know the truth so that you can tell your Congress people, leave my TikTok alone. A lot of people are making a whole lot of money on TikTok, selling their goods, promoting their products, having their subscriptions to people who have faith in them. That needs to continue. But like we say all the time, make sure to have all your avenues open, folks. Email, TikTok, social media, have an account in all of them and have all of them populated so that whenever one shuts down, you have access to the other. Anyhow, we have one caller so far. Folks, 713-526-5738 is the number. 713-526-5738, extension number 2 to come on air. And of course, our brother Harry, first caller of the day. But I'd like to hear from all of you. 713-526-5738. My brother Harry, good morning. How are you doing this morning, sir?
Trust that your wife is doing better, and will
My
continue
wife,
to get better. Praying for
yes,
her and your daughter.
I do appreciate that. My wife got out of the hospital after the show yesterday and is home weak but resting.
Good. And I'll God continue to heal her and watch over her. Yeah, because you got a lot going on. And
Thank you,
God
brother.
will be there to guide you and help you. But anyway, I believe it was Mark Pocamp that's been on Tom Hartman's show many times talking about trying to diminish Medicare Advantage and to strengthen government Medicare, regular Medicare. I remember reading a petition that he wrote online last year, and you did a show with talking about him last year. So let's hope that comes to fruition. That Medicare Advantage gets diminished.
I think, look, like I told everybody yesterday when we were talking about Medicare Advantage, and today we're talking about healthcare, especially specifically for the farmers. Alistair Waters sent me an article from the Texas Observer that it's a great article, a very human article that we're going to cover after I speak to you. But I think. You nailed it right there. Pocan is a good guy. We worked with Pocan when we were at Move to Amend, which is an organization trying to amend the Constitution with the 28th Amendment. And he is a very good congressperson to work with. He sponsored the 28th Amendment and several others that we have, Medicare for All, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
Anyway,
okay.
Look, real quick, Harry. Yeah, go ahead, Harry, real quick.
Yeah, the other thing I was going to say is, with my call yesterday, what I'm worried about, I like the fact that Joe Biden did mention the passing of, wants to pass the John Lewis H1N1 voting act to get rid of voter suppression. That's a good thing. And the mortgage thing that he talked about with the $400 tax credit, and then the big pharma, getting that down to $435 for seniors, that's also good. But what I worry about is Gaza. These people are serious about this. When we hear Rashida Tlaib and Cori Bush and Ilhan Amor put up signs saying we want a permanent ceasefire, we don't want a temporary ceasefire just to get the Americans out of there. You know, Joe Biden, and then you hear him talk about that Benjamin Netanyahu needs to be careful of continuing genocide on innocent Palestinians who have nothing to do with Hamas. That worries me because, people want it to stop, and we have to stop giving weapons to, which I don't think we're going to do. But
you're absolutely right, Harry. You're absolutely right. We, all of us are not. I don't want to say we're beating a dead horse. We know how to take care of the horse. Right. So let's go ahead and do it, and let's call our Congress people and let them know that there's support. Thank you very much for calling in, Harry. As usual, you always have something sensible to say. Now, I want to say, since Harry brought up the Israel-Gaza issue, I think it's important for us to understand that here in America, there's an organization called AIPAC. That anybody that, first of all, they're very powerful. They sponsor a lot of Congress people, whether Democrats or Republicans. They just throw their money at them, and anybody who doesn't toe the line, they work hard to put them out. The Squad, which is one of the few congressional organizations I have the most respect for, because they're the only ones that have no fear as they speak. They're challenging them all, from Jamal Bowman to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to Cori Bush to Ilhan Omar to Rashida Tlaib to Ayanna Pressley. They're all challenging these people to try to take their jobs away. And to the people in those different states, whether it be Minnesota, New York, Missouri, Cori Bush is also, Jamal is from New York, and the new congresswoman from Pennsylvania, they're all challenging these people. I hope those states are smart enough to realize they have stalwarts protecting their rights and not allow AIPAC to really execute its evil behavior to try to get them out of office. Okay. Folks, the telephone number is 713-526-5738. 713-526-5738. I always like to hear your voice. I mean, I can talk forever. I have a lot of stuff to talk about, but a program is always best when you know the people want you to change direction sometimes, speak about something that is more germane to what they want. So don't forget, give us a call, 713-526-5738. Alistair Waters, a listener and supporter of Politics Done Right for a very long time, sent me a text as I started writing what the program was going to be about from the Texas Observer. It's a story, and the story is written by Jordan Gass-Poor. It's titled Uninsured Country, Affordable Healthcare Eludes Many Family Farmers and Ranchers. Americans who operate small family farms and ranches often cannot get adequate health care and insurance. A journalist who spent her summers on her family's Texas ranch writes about family members' struggle and the challenges rural residents face today. And I tell you why Jordan's article touched me, just for that last statement. She left Texas to go to New York, not because she didn't want to work on her family farm, the farm owned by her family, but because of health insurance. The lack of health insurance changes lives. It changes everything. And we have to be careful. And the article starts this way. It says, super glue and animal antibiotics are the medicine cabinet of many farmers and ranchers in Texas. Tools of the trade they sometimes use on themselves to avoid a trip to the doctor. It's not that they have anything against physicians. It's because they either lack health insurance to their coverage, and their coverage is so limited that a doctor visit could saddle them with a hefty bill. I know this because I have been the glue used to seal. I've seen the glue used to seal wounds and animal meds in first aid kits of some of my family members who are uninsured farmers and ranchers in South Texas, and they are not alone. Nationwide, 10.7% of farm household members had no insurance, higher than 9.1% nationally, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Finding adequate, affordable health insurance can be a huge challenge for people who run small family farms or ranches, said Allison Cutson, director of the NORC Walsh Center for Rural Health Analysis. That's because many farmers and ranchers are self-employed with no access to affordable group plans and have low incomes. Even other private plans with limited coverage are often inadequate and pricey. It's a very cost prohibitive for farmers and ranchers to be able to get and maintain health insurance. The problem is widespread but not often tracked closely by many states, including Texas. There are about 3.4 million farmers and ranchers in the country, according to the USDA. Because many are self-employed, they are at risk of being uninsured or underinsured, endangering their health. To gain health insurance, some farmers and ranchers take a second job off the land with an employer that offers group coverage, or their spouses work full-time to get health insurance for the family, such as at a local school. And let me tell you personally, that is even my life. I have been self-employed after 5 years working in corporate America for NASA, etc. After that, I've been working for myself for a long time. I've been paying my private insurance, never been uninsured, but been paying my private insurance that continuously went up. I've had a $10,000 deductible, over $1,600 a month for the insurance with that $10,000 deductible, and that was several years ago. And when my wife, who has lupus, saw that the President Trump was a likely winner, and she had a feeling Obamacare was going to go away. So what she did is she said, you know what? I am going to go drive school buses so that I can get insurance. So she drives school buses for health insurance. She has a chronic disease. I rarely ever go to a doctor. She has to go frequently. So she went to the bus to get drove the bus to get health insurance. If she hadn't had lupus, we would probably keep with a catastrophic form of insurance instead of what we have right now. So yeah, many people make personal decisions that are not necessarily the best just to get insurance. I'm going to continue with the article, but I want to get to William. And folks, the number is 713-526-5738. William, come on in.
Howdy, Kino. I
I'm
just
fine.
realized.
Yes.
Sorry.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I just realized the P stands for P. It's true from this program. But anyway, here's something I can't give the person who quoted it. It's the swift way to compromise is more devastating than a fortune.
Okay, I can't understand you very well, William. Can you maybe hold the phone steady and speak directly into the mouthpiece because you're coming in and out?
Okay, the swift wind of compromise is more devastating than a misfortune.
Oh, wow. I can't understand what you're saying. I tell you what, do me a favor. Maybe there's a bad connection or something. Give us a call back, and then we can take it from there. Sorry about that, William, but the connection, I couldn't understand every other word that you were saying. Okay, so we stopped where the farmers, many farmers take second jobs just so that they can get insurance. According to the writer, others it says to gain health insurance, some farmers take out second jobs. Others in middle age, like my uncle Todd, is what the author says, who lives near New Braunfels, Texas, decide they'll wait until they are 65 and can go on Medicare, even though it means risking physical injury from their work every day. Todd has about 3 years to go and lives alone in a cabin on my family's property in Comal County, about 36 miles north of San Antonio. Texas leads the nation in the number of farms and ranches, 248,416 ranches, and has the highest rate of uninsured residents at about 18%. Think about that. The rest of the country, about 9% uninsured. In Texas, great big red state, 18% uninsured rate. The state refused to expand Medicaid to cover more low-income adults, so it's likely many farmers and ranchers have little or no health insurance. The rural areas they live in suffer from shortages of doctors and hospitals. From 2005 to 2023, a total of 24 hospitals closed. Close or reduce services across Texas, according to the University of North Carolina's Cecil G. Sheff Center for Healthcare Research. Even if Texas expanded Medicaid, career barriers to health care would remain, said Dr. Rick Snyder. Many doctors in the state won't accept Medicaid patients because the reimbursement rates are so small. He said he only gets $28 for somebody coming in with an earache or something like that. Now, here is an interesting thing. We have a huge surplus in Texas, right? And we have a huge surplus in Texas because don't think it's just there because, wow, they decided to collect less money. This surplus is intended to do many things. They want school vouchers. That is a way of transferring money to the rich, and that's what they're going to use these surpluses for. They have other rebates that they want to give to corporations who will support these politicians who win. So they're sitting on a whole lot of your money, a whole lot of tax money that they're going to give out to people who give in. They're going to give out to corporations who give in. That's, yesterday, even our very conservative Democratic mayor shouted out at Greg Abbott. If he's shouting out at Greg Abbott, there must be a problem. Man, you're getting billions in excess. Can't you give Texas about $80 million to fix some of the stuff give Houston $80 million to fix a few things? That's the kind of state we have. Now, these farmers that are suffering, these farmers that are dying because they don't have health insurance, these farmers that are taking second jobs because they don't have health insurance. So they, instead of working 8 hours a day or 12 hours a day, they're working 20 hours a day doing hard labor because, milking a cow, fixing your fences on the farm and all these things, that's hard labor, a lot of work, right? These same guys are voting into our legislators here in Texas and and Congress around the country. They are electing people that are making them sicker, that are causing them to die. And the question a lot of times is why, right? Many of these people aren't hearing this story that we're telling. They just know that being a farmer, life is hard, and they want to be self-sufficient, and they think that that is the way things have to be. Our farmers and ranchers are the ones who feed us. They're the ones who populate the grocery store, give the raw product for the grocery stores that you buy, whether it be vegetables or processed foods. They are the beginning. They're the start of everything, right? And we treat them, meaning our government, treat them like crap. And then these good farmers, because there is an informational vacuum, because there's not a politics done right that every single one of these farmers are listening to, there's not a Amy Goodman that these farmers are listening to, or these farmers are taught that if somebody says anything that sounds progressive, you have to beware. It is something they're trying to throw the gaze on you. They're trying to throw this on you. Doesn't get there. And who do we blame for that? Do we just blame the farmers and say these guys, look at how stupid they are? They're not. They're allowing these people to profit from them, and that's what we do, right? You go to the grocery store and you see the high price for vegetables, you see the high price for eggs, you see the high price for meat, and then we start, those ranchers and those farmers, look at what they're doing to us. That's not where the price increase comes, right? Those guys are barely making it. The price increase comes from the capitalists who own the processing plants and the distribution plants and all of that gets you the stuff. That's where those are the people getting rich from the inflation, but not inflation, from the greedflation that these guys have created from the corporate greed rate. That is where it comes from. And our farmers suffer. I'm going to continue pontificating on this, but I'd like you to call 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738 if you have anything to add, or if you want me to change the coverage or change to something else. But continuing. In 2021, the Texas legislature began allowing the Texas Farm Bureau, an agricultural nonprofit, to sell its members health plans that do not have to comply with the Affordable Care Act's consumer protection, such as that prohibit insurers from discriminating against people with pre-existing condition. Texas Farm Bureau plans aren't considered health insurance and operate without oversight by state insurance regulators. Monthly premiums are often lower, but the lack of ACA rules mean higher cost for farmers and ranchers when they seek care. Most people sign up for these and other alternative plans most people who sign up for these plans tend to be government self-employed. I want to show you guys something here. Here we don't have a healthcare infrastructure. Diane Harrington, thank you so kindly for those kind words. Diane says, thank you, Egberto Willies, for giving out this important information. Love your program. Love you, girl. Thank you very much. Let me say this, because I want to show you the double whammy that's hitting farmers right now and ranchers. And we don't need to be hating on these guys because they vote against their own interests. What we need to be doing is trying to get to them and explaining what's available and what will be available for these brothers and sisters in the rural areas. But here's what, as I'm reading this article, all I kept on saying to myself is, Alistair, thank you for bringing this article. I'm a subscriber to Texas Observer, but there's so many other articles I'm reading around. I missed this one. That passage that I just read there should infuriate every single one of us to show how evil the corporate structure can be. Because somebody reads that, they say, yeah, they buy a plan that doesn't follow the Obamacare rules. Obamacare rules say you have to insurance must cover maternity. Insurance must not discriminate against you having a pre-existing kid. It's a must. But Texas now allow corporations to come in there and sell purported insurance. That's how they sell it to these farmers. Oh, we can give you healthcare cheaper than you can get from Cigna or that you can get from all these other folks. We can give you healthcare cheaper than anything else, right? And we don't have to follow Obamacare. Obamacare puts regulations on that really makes things more expensive. Yeah, it makes it more expensive because the coverage that you buy from these third-party plans that are not approved, that even the Texas legislature does not enforce. The Texas Farm Bureau, they're not health insurance. They don't even call them health insurance, right? But they're there to help the farmer. So they go into these rural areas where people can't afford regular insurance, but they still sucker money out of them. So the insurance companies sucker money out of us in urban areas the best they can. We go buy our insurance, so they sucker the money out of us there. And in rural areas where the people can't afford even the insurance that we in urban areas get, they say, but there's still a way to squeeze some more money out of them. Let's give them substandard care. Let them think this is insurance. Let them buy this stuff, give us more money. And when it is time to serve, they realize, oh my God, it doesn't cover this. It doesn't cover that. It's not worth the money that we have put onto it. That is what we get for not having Medicare or having health care for all. And it is in our hands to do better because we are the ones electing these people. With Texas having a surplus of monies, by the way, Texas has an option right now. And a lot of red states that are listening to me right now, your red states have an option. The Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act gives you the ability, your state, to give insurance to people making several points over the poverty level. In other words, there are a lot of people that are not poor. They just can't afford insurance. And that's where Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act, that is what it was designed for. People that are not poor, they're lower middle class, but if they had to pay insurance, they would be poor. So this particular plan, the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care, already funded by your tax dollars, already funded by Texas's tax dollars, all your state has to do is say, we accept the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act, and then the state is only responsible for 10% of the cost. And the federal government pays the rest. And by the way, the federal government pays the rest with the tax dollars that Texans and people all over the country are already paying. So right now, Texas, the state that is supposed to be fiscally responsible, by choice have said, we are not going to take the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. And in doing so, these farmers that we're speaking about in this article, they can't get health care. They qualify as not poor, but can't afford health insurance. The people that they elect, because that's who elect these Congress people, rural people are the ones who ultimately get these bad people elected, are the ones who are ensuring these guys don't get health insurance. And The money is there. They have produced enough money to make so many rich people richer that our coffers in Texas are overflowing with money. And they won't give you a dime back for the work and your worth. Our farmers are more important. Our teachers are more important than any stockbroker or executive of these corporations, more so than any of these. And yet we allow it. So here's the thing. All people living in cities right now. And by the way, folks, give me a call, 713-526-5738. If you want to add, if you want to tell us a little bit about your own experience, that's what we're here for. Because your experiences allows other people to realize they're not on an island. They're not by themselves. If they hear your experience, they know that others are like them. And in the process of doing that, you have allowed others the freedom to do what they need to do. Farmers need to get that permission as well. Those of you who are hearing me, I mean, a lot of the farmers that I'm talking about, I love my farmers and ranchers, but they are not hearing me because they're not listening to KPFT 90.1 FM. But a lot of them are your cousins and your relatives, etc. Pass them our podcasts. Let them know that we love them too. And let's try to inform them so that in November, they vote their interest, they vote their lives. They vote to make sure that they will get the insurance that will keep them alive. Let's do what's right. And let's not sit back and think those damn fools, because they're not. And if you want to know some of the folks that we need to really, that we really need to get on their backs, are our Democratic funders and the Democratic folk who, as opposed to going into these rural areas and sitting down and before opening their mouths, just listening. And then, I don't like to say find common ground. Tell these people what you want to do for them, not as a giveaway, not as a pittance, but what makes society go. Let these people know how important we know they are to our society. I'm talking about our rancher brothers and our farmer brothers that currently are voting for policies that screw them. Let them know, because they don't. They don't know in the proper context. Let them know with respect. There's a lot of work that we need to do we're not doing. Let's go to Marlene. Come on in, Marlene.
Hey, well, I just wanted to comment on the Obamacare.
Yes.
I'm a nurse, and when Obamacare was first out, there was a lot of misinformation. So we had a patient that didn't have any insurance. Case manager went in there with a list of insurance that he could pick from. And his first thing out of his mouth was, well, I don't want any of that Obamacare. And she said, sir, just look over the list, find the plan that works for you, and we'll work on it. Guess which one he picked?
Which one?
Obamacare.
Yeah.
It didn't say Obamacare, but he looked at the list, went through what he felt was going to work best for him and his family, and that's the one he picked. It tells you everything you need to know. People vilify this, but it works for families.
Very important information, Marlene. I appreciate that. Like you, because real stories are more important than anything else. And that's why I said, there are two ways that we can handle that young man that came to you to sign up for insurance. The first way is to have disdain for him for not knowing. The other thing that we can do is the compassionate direction in saying, why didn't he know this stuff? And we have a lot of dynamics that's happening in this country, the polarization that prevents that, right? And having folks like you who, you did a great thing. I don't know if you, in the way you told that story, right? After that guy came negative, I just don't want Obamacare. You looked at him and said, okay, sir, you didn't go ahead and say, why, sir, Obamacare is a good thing or da-da-da-da-da. You made him make his choice. And
right.
when he,
that's what it's all about. And if people would look at what's on the table, what works for me, what's not going to work for me, and all the information, don't just hide it. They would make the correct choices for themselves.
Thank you. And you know, that is what, I look, a lot of times I want to be more forceful in the way I say certain things, but being right doesn't solve problems all of the times. People have to realize that they need to change from within, and we just have to give them a place to land to do that. And in your own way, the way you did it, that's exactly what you did, Marlene. The guy shouted out, "I don't want no Obamacare," and you said, "Okay, sir, just go ahead and pick which works for your family." You didn't go into that immediate reaction that one would have to have with somebody who says that. You made them make the choice. Thank you very much for doing what you do, my friend. And it is so important that we kind of learn some of these techniques, because the misinformation out there is killer. Thank you, Marlene. Anything else you want to add before we go?
You got to have the information.
Thank you so kindly for what you do, my friend. All right, let's jump to Harry, who called back, and then Harry, just a short while, then I got to go to the next caller. Harry, what's up?
Hello, Harry. I'm sorry. Hello, Egberto. But anyway, I like what Howard said about BlackRock and about Vanguard. I've known about them for a long time, and what they try to do is squeeze out average family consumers when they get up these prices for these homes, and then they turn around and flip them for profit.
Exactly.
So Howard's absolutely right about that. And Jack is right about the Social Security. You got to get out there and vote. Roberto, I like what you said about APEC as well. The Broad Squad has to fight them because they don't want a permanent ceasefire.
Exactly. Harry, thank you. I got to go to Brian, but thank you so kindly for calling back and adding some more enlightenment to the show. Let's go to Brother Brian now. Brother Brian, come on in.
Yeah. You're still getting feedback on the phone.
Yeah, I know. Something needs to hold on a second. Something needs to be readjusted. I imagine the studio knows about that already, but go ahead, Brian.
Okay, where do you get the information that illegal aliens do not commit crimes at a rate less than naturalized citizens?
It is out there, but if you need me to get you the direct link, I will get you the direct link. Drop me a line at kpft@politicsdoneright.com to trigger me to go ahead and get that done for you. But it's not hard to find at all.
Oh, no, there's only one state that actually compiles the statistics, and that's Texas. The Department of Justice, they compile federal crimes. No other state has local or, crimes that are compiled.
Actually, that's not true at all. Let's make sure that people get information. Police departments from around the country. Hold 1 second, Brian, please. Let me correct the record, please. Police departments from across the country send their stats based on all these different characteristics to I think it's the FBI that they send it to, but all this information is collected from around the country, not just on federal crimes, but on crimes, period. And that's a statement of fact, sir. Just want to get it there. But and the other thing, Brian, the other thing is this, okay? It doesn't make sense for us to go back and forth beating this stuff here. I'll just get the document for you. But the fact of the matter is immigrants commit less crime than native born Americans. And that is pretty, that is pretty the logical thing as well. It is illogical for people to come into your country, for the vast majority. I'm not saying there are not criminals that come into your country. Hey, criminals leave America and go and criminalize in other countries as well. I mean, don't think that there's something special about America where other people commit crimes and we don't. We commit a lot of crimes overseas, and I mean a lot. I'm from Panama, and Americans came into Panama, and the amount of crimes that were committed, but you don't see Panamanians saying, those darn immigrants are committed crimes. You commit a crime, you get booted out of the country, or you go to jail. That's what we should do. There's a crime problem, you solve the crime problem. So my brother, you are coming mostly from a position of hate, right? And what I'm telling you is, hold one second, Brian, let me finish. Please let me finish, sir. If you attempt to remove the hate that's been instilled from the right onto immigrants and start looking at things from a logical standpoint as to why these things occur, we could have a much more sensible conversation than trying to figure out who commits this crime, that crime, etc., and instead solve the problem. And the problem doesn't start at the border. The problem starts from what we have done and many have done within these countries to create the dynamics of migration. That is what we need to solve. And if you're interested in that kind of stuff, Brian, you would get off the right wing stuff about demonizing human beings and start saying, how can we fix the problem? But that's not the goal. The goal is to get good people like you pissed off so that they can then control your mind. Brian, I gotta go. We'll talk tomorrow.
We'll talk absolutely sense, and it's only ICE compel those records.
Okay, we'll talk tomorrow, Brian. Thank you so kindly for calling, my brother. All right, folks, we got to get out of here. So let me run to the studio, and then we'll get out.
Well, I almost feel a rant coming on, but we just don't have the time for it. Here's some food for thought. If you have an $18 billion surplus, that means you've been taxing people too much. So there you go.
There you go. Jack?
Jack, what you got, man?
Yeah, just, all you people that are, draw the Social Security, you have to look at these politicians and what they're doing. And if they want to take it away, that's not a good person to vote for.
Exactly. Rats, as you would say. But anyway, folks, look, please. Absolutely. Folks, we got to get out of here. Please go to politicsandright.com/newsletter. It has all the links to the things we didn't cover that we were supposed to cover. 713. Hear me trying to give the number again. So go to politicsandright.com/newsletter. You'll find all the articles and complete that what we were supposed to do here. Thank you so kindly, callers. Thank you, studio, for the great work that you always do. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics and Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.